Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here with Malik, curators of the Exploration Archive. We left Ferdinand Magellan last time at back aboard. The voyage's bureaucracy clashed with weather and timbers. Today we pick up where we left off. Salt spray laced the morning as the fleet slipped from Sanlúcar de Barrameda on the 20th of September 1519. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation and the scent of the sea. 5 ships, each a marvel of its own, readied themselves for this audacious venture. Trinidad led, but the others were no less important, each one a vital part of the unfolding story.
But Aurelius, that departure wasn't just about ships leaving a harbor. It was a moment filled with hope and desperation, a mix of excitement and fear. Those men were setting out into the unknown, driven by dreams of wealth and glory. They weren't just following orders. They were staking their lives on the promise of discovery, leaving behind families and familiar shores. Each one carried their hopes and fears with them, knowing that the journey could change everything.
True enough. The instruments aboard were rudimentary against the ocean's enormity. Astrolabes and a deep-seated reliance on memory formed their navigational tools. The sailors looked to the stars as guides, improvising amid vast uncertainty. It was a gamble? Perhaps. But a calculated one. They ventured forth with only basic knowledge, threading their way through uncharted waters.
Calculated? That's a generous term. Their tools were more like suggestions than guarantees. The reliance on dead reckoning and celestial navigation was risky at best. Each miscalculation could lead them further from home or into treacherous waters. This wasn't simply exploration. It was a dance with fate, one that could end in disaster with every wave.
Yet, they were pushed on by winds that filled canvas like lungs embodying hope. The Atlantic initially responded generously, as if welcoming their venture. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities. The sea shimmered and beckoned, offering a glimpse of the horizons yet unseen. This is what empires do. They push boundaries.
Empires? That feels like a stretch. These sailors were not conquerors. They were survivors. Their journey was marked by toil, blistered hands, and the taste of salt in every drop of water. It wasn't just about expansion. It was about enduring. The ocean was both their path and their adversary, one demanding respect, not conquest.
Fair point. As their crossing progressed, the limits of their resolve began to surface. Storms rolled in with little regard for rank, sweeping through the ranks indiscriminately. The seas lifted their ships high, a relentless reminder of nature's raw power. In those moments, we saw true character emerge as fear transformed into sheer survival instinct. Each wave crashing against the hull tested their determination, pushing them to confront the reality that even the strongest can be at the mercy of the elements.
And yet, those storms weren't just weather. They were metaphors for the internal struggles aboard the ships. Men were not only fighting the elements, they were battling fear, uncertainty, and the creeping sense of doom. The ocean took lives and spirits alike, with no mercy for the unprepared. A brutal equalizer in their quest.
The danger we faced was not just structural. A sudden shear of wind could send a man plummeting from the rigging. The sea has a way of taking what it wants without any thought for the lives it claims. That reality loomed large over us. The brutality of nature served as a constant reminder of our vulnerability. Yet, beneath that raw power, a quieter corrosion started to seep into our ranks, eroding our resolve and sense of purpose day by day.
That corrosion was the real enemy. It crept in quietly, like an unwelcome guest, infecting the lower decks where light dared not linger. Early fever took hold, spreading its grip on the men, while scurvy began its slow siege, robbing them of strength and cheer. Day by day, it wore them down. It was a gradual yet devastating process, one that could undermine even the strongest resolve. Hunger and illness turned laughter into whispers of despair, leaving a heavy silence in their wake.
Yes, and the moment they spotted land off Brazil was a visceral relief. A humid dawn unveiled a new world, where green rose in terraces. The ocean's threat was bracketed by trees and soil, if only for a moment. But that landfall held both promise and peril. Every joy came with the weight of consequence.
Absolutely, Aurelius. The initial contact with that new shoreline was a blend of triumph and misunderstanding. Those sailors, eager and hopeful, exchanged small goods, completely unaware of the complexities lurking in this new world. Each interaction felt like a careful dance, steeped in caution and uncertainty. They celebrated their landfall with cheers, but the reality of their journey was far from over. They had no idea what challenges lay ahead, and the human cost would weigh heavily on them.
Back aboard, we found that the voyage's bureaucracy was at odds with the relentless weather. Navigation errors could cost us dearly, and time was something we simply couldn't waste. In those cramped command rooms, tension filled the air. Every calculation felt like a gamble. Each choice we made was a tightrope walk between life and death at sea. As the waves crashed against us, we had to remember that one mistake could send us spiraling into disaster.
And all of that leads us back to the essence of their journey. It was not merely about exploration. It was about the human spirit contending with vast unknowns. Each step forward was a test of character, a struggle against the elements and their own limitations. This story is far from over, and what lies ahead will further shape their fate. That's where we leave it this time. Ferdinand Magellan continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Exploration Archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.